Okay, here is our review. As you know, on part one, you went through and matched your vocabulary. It's an open note quiz. So if you did not go and check your vocabulary answers using the 4.5 vocabulary assignment that has them all written out on slide one, and there's an audio file reading them out loud, please go do that. And you can just click and check your answers using that vocabulary assignment. All right, for part two, as always, they're going to be 2 points each, and there's 2 extra credit questions. But here's your quick review before you get started on that. So, after a long time of fighting, the British are not doing too great in the north. So, they decide that they want to bring the fighting down to the southern colonies. Why would they do that? Well, there's a lot more loyalists in the southern colonies, meaning a lot more colonists who are loyal to the king and would like to remain owned by the king in Britain. So they thought that if they went down south, they would have more of the colonists on their side, and therefore it would be easier for them to win. As we know, part of why they didn't end up winning is because the Patriots got help from France after the Battle of Saratoga. So, even though the British were right about there being more loyalists or colonists who were still loyal to Britain in the South, the Patriots are officially kind of doing better in the war now because they have all of this help from France. Oh, I can't find my buttons. Sorry. Okay, so we officially make it, right? After the British come to the South, they start doing pretty well in the South, actually. But finally, after all of this time, we make it to the last major battle of the Revolutionary War. Okay, this is the Battle of Yorktown in Yorktown, Virginia. All right, the Battle of Yorktown may not have been the absolute last battle, but it was the last major battle of the Revolutionary War. What made it the last major battle, is that the general for the British actually surrendered at the Battle of Yorktown to General Washington and the Patriots and said, listen, we give up. We don't have enough men or supplies to keep doing this. So they surrendered at the Battle of Yorktown. Even after surrendering at the Battle of Yorktown, it still took them 2 years to negotiate and sign a peace agreement. Right? So it took 2 years for them to sign a peace agreement. That peace agreement that they signed is called the Treaty of Paris. Okay? So there was a few other really important documents that happened throughout the Revolutionary War, but 2 years after the British surrendered or said they wanted to stop fighting at the Battle of Yorktown, the British and the Patriots signed the Treaty of Paris, which is the official end to the war, right? There's nothing left after this. This means they officially decided to be peaceful with each other. What does it mean to sign the Treaty of Paris and win the Revolutionary War? Well, now that they've won the war, the Patriots get to be free from British rule, meaning that the British government and the king, which is their government, can't make them pay more taxes. It can't control them. They are officially free from Britain and their own nation. Okay, you guys have 2 extra credit questions, but they're each only worth 1 point on this quiz. So, one of them is going to ask you about General George Washington. And General George Washington is a very important figure because even before he becomes president, he is the commander in chief for the Patriots, meaning he was the top general who led the Patriots into all of those battles and ultimately was a really big factor in why they won. Your other question is going to ask you about the word loyalists. The word loyalists keeps coming up, right? Remember, we said that the British wanted to move the fighting down south because there were more loyalists there. Loyal to who, though? Right? So the loyalists are loyal to Britain, right? So we have a picture of the redcoats here, who are the British soldiers. The loyalists, even though they lived in the colonies, were still loyal to the king and Britain. Okay, let me know if you have any questions. And again, reminder, this is an open note quiz, so please take advantage of that.